That's my running wall.
She looks so much like Linda.
Yeah, they can't deny me.
No,
Apples
not a
don't fall
bit.
far from the tree.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Midnight Publishing, and we are live, also known as All Things Books and Publishing. I am Yvonne Mason, one of the hosts of this show, along with Mary Brotherton, my right arm, the other host of this show, my sounding board, my whatever you want to do, Yvonne board. If it can be thought of, I say, Mary, we're doing it. She go, okay, okay. Tonight, our guest is Ciara Benson. She is one of our newest authors. She is also my second cousin, and I love her like I do my first cousin because her mother and I grew up together. Her mother's also one of our authors, Ellie Ryan. But before we get started with Ciara, Midnight Publishing is going in directions we never saw coming. As we tell y'all every single day, this is a God-driven, God-inspired publishing house. Everything that we do as a service to other authors. We do not charge to publish. We do not charge to format, to do graphics, to do marketing, to do book covers. We don't charge our authors. And you ask, I've had several people say, well, you need to make money. No, because I didn't start this business. God said you're doing it. I said, okay. We are not even 2 years old yet. We will not be 2 years old until June of this year. We have over 20 authors. Right now we have 104 books that are published in 2 to 4 formats, depending on the book and the size of the book, depending on if it's a children's book, if it's in chapters, because Audible will not do anything that is not in chapters, like children's books with pictures. We cannot do a hard copy unless it's 79 pages or more. But we put everything into it that we can so that our authors have their books out there. We have gained in the past 2 days, or past week, we have gained 2 new authors. Roy Owenby, whose book will go live on April the 6th, called The Amnesia Puzzle, and J.C. Meckick. He has been following us for quite a while. I've known him for quite a while, and the other day he said, I am all in. Sounds like Texas Hold'em. I'm all in. Where do I sign? Put me in, coach, put me in. So I'll be getting his books pretty soon. We are on YouTube TV with over 4 million viewers. Would we say 4,058,000?
4.5, 4.6, something like
4.5
that.
million. Yeah, and counting. We have, thanks to Riverside, I have to give a shout out to Riverside because when Blog Talk Radio went bye-bye, I started looking for a home for Midnight Publishing, and Riverside popped up. Riverside had just started coming into their own. They now have a website availability. So Midnight Publishing, All Things Books and Publishing, have their own website here at Riverside. It's called allthingsbooksandpublishing.riverside.com. Everything that we do, the 7-second shorts, the lives, these podcasts, they go up on the website. They go up on Deezer, Amazon Music, Apple Music. They go up on Spotify, and they go up on YouTube. It's one click and done. I am so excited. With that being said, we have had a banner first quarter. I was just telling Ciara and Mary, I love numbers, so I went to see where we stood the first quarter. As y'all know, the first quarter of the year, and these 2 ladies can attest to it, nobody buys anything. They're too busy paying off debt from the silly season, getting ready for taxes, getting ready for insurance, yada, yada, yada. Well, this quarter alone, we have sold 6 books in this quarter. This month we have superseded January and February, and we still have 11 days to go. I am so proud of our authors. I could just jump up and down if I were a person to jump up and down.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's Mary's job.
I'll jump up and down for you.
Sarah's going to jump up and down.
I'm young.
So I am so proud of our authors. I am so proud they trust the process. I am proud that they come on board with an open mind and say, okay, Yvonne, make your magic work. And it is magic here. Don't ask me how. I don't question God. God just says, okay, I'm doing this. So without further ado, welcome, Ciara. So glad you're here, sweetheart.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Ciara's book, Salted Covered Lies. Before we get into the book, I'm going to let Ciara tell you about her journey of getting here, what she went through, how frustrating it was. And we get these stories all the time. And because Ciara is born and raised of stronger stock, the women in our family, quitting is not an option for us. You know, we're stubborn.
Just a little.
Just a little bit. We push that envelope. Giving up is not an option. So, Ciara, my darling, take it away. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So it was interesting. So if you don't know, and I know you two do, but if you're watching me, I care for my husband, who is a severely injured combat veteran. And I was leading a nonprofit. I was, I did a lot of archival research. I wrote exhibits. I did downtown urbanization or revitalization. And my husband all of a sudden needed a caregiver. And I had to step down from it. I stepped down from the world. And for 10 years, I took care of my husband and raised kids and homeschooled. And so that we weren't entirely broke, I taught college on the side. And I hit this wall when you look at long-term caregiving. You hit a wall and you realize all of a sudden you are more than likely going to survive and your caregivee is not. And so here I am, not even 40, thinking about we have no income other than his disability and, an odd adjunct. And if you've never seen adjunct pay, let me tell you, it is minimal, so minimal. And, with a lot of our combat veterans who are this wounded, if they have no health insurance or no life insurance. So here I have 5 kids, and I realize that at some point I will probably outlive my spouse, and I promise I'll get to the point. And there's no backup plan, right? There's no backup plan. There's no insurance. There's no life insurance. Yeah. So what do you do? And him and I talked, and I already had a master's at that point, but it was in a job that had to be, away or travel, and I couldn't do it. And so we talked, and we're like, okay, well, you have some credits with some of his benefits. It's something called Chapter 35. They pay me a stipend when I go to school. And he goes, well, let's talk about, you getting a degree. And I was like, that makes sense because I can pick up a terminal degree and go teach all levels of education and not be adjunct, like actually get on tenure track. And I said, okay, let's do it. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, let's see what doesn't require residency first. And, I'm looking through all these programs and I'm thinking, because it's 2020, like things are 2018, maybe things are starting to go, online with short-term residencies. And I was like, I've always wanted to write. Ironically, people in my family thought it was a fool's errand. So just want you to know that. And, I was the artsy fartsy one. And I was like, I would love to write and I can use it in comms. I can contract with it, professional editing. And should I outlive you, I now have a terminal degree that I can go teach all levels of. And we said, okay, that's it. That's the winner. And it was something I wanted to do versus something that was expected, right? And so I went and did it. I did a master's in fine arts, which is a terminal degree. Trust me, it's as hard as a PhD. It's just the production side versus the research side. 3 years of coursework, 98,000 words, and a dissertation. Defense later, I have a novel. And um, it's funny because you have multiple people in your class, you watch people drop out. We had one person in our graduating class get picked up by a traditional publisher, and we know the process, right? You have to go query agents, you have to go query publishers, you have to do the submissions, you have to do this, you have to do that. And it was a rough entry. Some of the first feedback I got was your title sucks. And I was like, oh, okay. So we had to change title. So all of a sudden it became Salt Covered Lies. That's not what I started with. All right, good. Um, and then something else came back and said, this isn't good enough and that's not good enough. And so you start tweaking things in the hopes you're going to get picked up. And it must have been about 42 denials later, or like no shows, including agents and publishers. I put it down. Yeah, it would have been fun to publish, but it's okay. I got my degree, I got it done, I have it copyrighted. Um, and I wasn't alone. I mean, I had a graduating, like our thesis class or our dissertation class, there was 8 of us. One got picked up. So, I mean, we all went back to our day jobs. Um, Fast forward a few years later, and my mother calls me and she's like, I'm getting published. And I was like, wait, that's not fair. I've been sitting on this thing for a while, and I knew it was good. I had great feedback. Everyone I'd given to it had loved it. And it wasn't that the agents didn't like it. What I kept getting told is that it's not what's going to sell. It's not going to sell. It doesn't meet. And I did. I wrote something that was personal and that crossed genres, that didn't fit a formula, that didn't follow standardized tropes. And it bit me in the traditional publishing world. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll self-publish it eventually and I'll get there. And then, yeah, my mom calls me and she's like, I'm getting published. I was like, that's totally not fair. And I'm super excited for her because I know how hard it is. I know what it is to do it. And then I don't know, 2 months after she launched, and she's like, do you want me to introduce you? And I was like, oh, sure, we'll take a stop. We'll stab it. And I sent it to Yvonne.
Right?
I know. What's one more rejection? I don't even know if I have time for this, but yeah, sure, whatever. And I mean, like, the website I had is gone dead. I'm locked out of it. I can't get in it. Like all of the things because I let it go. And Yvonne writes me back and she's like, okay, I'm sending you, here's the contract and here's this. And we're going. I'm like, wait, what?
Welcome,
That was a yes.
welcome to our world.
I was like, I'm not ready. That was a yes.
How can you say yes when I'm still thinking?
But then I thought about it and I'm like, I'm telling Yvonne, I was like, well, it's been through all the editing process. I had already line edited. I had already, plot edited. I had already characterized it. We had done all of this. I had, already made adjustments according to feedback. And I'm like, okay, cool. If it's going, it's going.
I heard that you said, Yvonne, a bunch of stuff that regular publishers want, like, here are my demographics, here are my comp titles, and,
Yeah. Yeah, I hated comp
realize
titles.
with Midnight Publishing, you don't need any of that.
No, but it's interesting. I told Yvonne this too, is that's all the stuff you're taught because it's what a traditional house is looking for. You have to have a target demographic. You have to have, you identify your tropes in your query letter. You identify how many words, and I was already over the word limit for my genre anyway, and you identify this and you identify that, and you have to give comp titles and you have to give, like this and that, and it's annoying. But then you realize it's a vicious cycle because the traditional houses are putting out what they want and then only accepting in what they want, knowing that it's like they're going to close loop the cycle. And I love the fact that indie publishing and self-publishing is just wrecking everything. I love it. So
message?
We got some
What
chats
did
going
what
on
did they say?
here. Gwendolyn,
I don't know where to find those. Where are they?
She sees them and I see them. What? Okay, who is it? What are they saying?
Gwendolyn says hello. Hey, hey, time saver. I'm not even sure what the time saver was. She said I'd dance, but I would hurt myself. Thank you both for his Oh, thank you both for his service. She's talking to you and your husband, and I get it because I'm a military mom, and it takes the ones who are sitting home are the ones that are doing service too. I'm sorry he was injured, and Ciara, I do want to talk to you about that a little bit later. And Brandy says the pimp has arrived.
Well, I never thought I'd be so happy to see a pimp, Brandy, but there you go.
And she's supposed to be at work.
You keep saying a word that really is like fingernails on a chalkboard for me, Ciara. Traditional.
Oh,
There is
yes.
nothing traditional about Midnight Publishing. And
I love it.
who wants to fit into somebody's mold anyway?
It's it. I
Off today, okay.
don't.
She's not
Well,
right.
yeah, today's Friday. I don't think people, Mary, either. I don't think people understand, like as an author, how much you lose when it's traditional publishing. Because you lose your rights to your title, you lose your rights to your story. They can edit it however they see fit, and you don't get a say over it. And then they hold it up as like this is the pinnacle of what you want to be, and what you get published could be 180 degrees from what you submitted. And so it's,
And you lose your voice, Ciara.
yeah,
You and what they tried to do, and we had Sharon Richardson, and she was traditionally published, and it was a horror story. They gave her a 5-figure advance, and she wound up having to pay them back because the book sales didn't make it.
Well, the book sales would have made it if they'd have paid her more than 3%.
Correct.
3%. We get 70. And you know who gets the other 30? It's not Yvonne. It's not Midnight Publishing. It's Amazon. Brandy says, I haven't been to bed yet. I've been up since yesterday. Bonnie's here. And Gwendolyn says it's Friday.
yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, what happened to Ciara happens all the time. When I started in this business during the cave days, when indie authors were considered a bad word, literally a bad word, we weren't good enough because we weren't traditionally published. I said, hide and watch. I mean, this chick's been on TV 8 times, had one book translated into French by a French publisher. So we are all that and more. We are everything. And when
I remember, like one of my favorite authors, Vince Flynn, couldn't get picked up, self-published his first book, was completely ripped for it, and then was picked up by a traditional publishing house and published 18 books for his death, and his series still goes. So it's interesting that like we still have this perception of it when some of the most successful are out of indie.
and the reason being is because, and I say that I've been reading since before I started school. When I got in first grade, I got bored with the Dick and Jane series. But in reading traditional published authors for as many years as I have read, I'm bored with them. Because they want they send their authors these contracts. You got to give me 5 books in 90 days, and this is the formula. So it's the same characters, different name, different plot, different city, same outcome.
Well,
You read the
Sherry
first and
said
the
that
last.
they made her do something like 17 chapters in 12 days,
12
I
days.
think.
Yeah. Chat message.
Allie is with me as well, Ma, your other child, from Brandy.
Good. Okay. So when
And Bonnie says you are so over the top. Are you talking about me, Bonnie?
Wait, who? Which one?
She's over the top.
So, and another thing that happened with Ciara is they wanted her to do it as a chick book. Salt Covered Lives is more than a chick book. Salt Covered
Yeah.
Lives is a mystery. It is a history book. It is a coming of age book. It is a suspense book. It is a thriller. It is a healing from loss, which, okay, that's a chick book. But there's so many layers in this book
Well,
that,
it's a book about art too.
yeah, it's stolen
So
art.
you've got the artistic aspect too. And I got another message from Bonnie. She says, "You betcha, all of you."
See, it talks about the stolen art during World War II. It talks about the Monument Men, that unless you know about the Monument Men, you have no idea what we're talking about. I suggest you go look it up. It was an elite group of men that were sent to find the stolen art that Hitler took when he started killing off the Jews. So there's history in there. The French resistance is in there. They worked with Americans to get this art back. So what these people tried to do to Ciara, and I'm being nice. Mary knows I got another
Call
name
them
for
people.
them. What they tried to do to Ciara was take her book and destroy it, strip it down, to dumb it down, strip it down to where it had one plot, minimal characters, and you could read it in 5 minutes. That's not fair. Chat message.
Gwendolyn said they want to label her. Yuck.
Yeah, they do. And we don't do that here.
I mean, think about this. If you've read one Danielle Steele book, you've read every one she's ever written. If there are others like that, I can't think of any right off the top of my head now, but James Patterson.
Yeah.
You know, you
John
read his
Connolly.
stuff, you change the location, you might change the area, you might change but so many of these people have the same main characters even. Lee Childs does Jack Reacher books.
And he's done Jack Reacher to death.
Yeah, how many Reacher books can you read?
Bless him. So, Ciara, when you got the email from me and you went, wait, what? What? Did you think it was a joke, baby?
It was a scam, let's be honest.
Really?
You should ask her. I kept sending her questions like, what about this? What about that? I have a lawyer friend. I sent him the contract and I was like, how much is this going to bite me in the backside? And, and it's not personal. It was just such an antithesis of what I had hit so far that it was like, wait, how much money do you want for this? Like, is it vanity press, or is it this, or is it that? And, yeah, so it took me a few back and forth emails with Yvonne to be like, oh, this is really real.
You know what my
Legit.
son calls the contract? Don't piss off the publisher contract.
Pretty much.
I mean, really, folks, let me tell you, Sherry Ann told us, and she was with Penguin?
Penguin.
Her contract was 17 pages long, and she said it was all legalese, very confusing to read, and you had to redact words to figure out what it actually was saying. And then our page, I think our contract's 1 page long.
If it's that.
It's 1 or 2 pages, I can't remember. And basically what it says is, I agree to trust your process. And I agree I agree to pay you $50 if you have to take my book down because of my mistakes. So in other words, don't say, yes, I approve the book, go with it, run with it, and then come back a month later and say, oh, my Aunt Susie looked at the book and she said there's a mistake on page 41.
Or she didn't
like it? I need you to put 3 commas in the book because I left them out. No, that's just wrong for so many reasons. Or we had one where somebody said, I love the cover. But then their friends started looking at it and said, well, there's one element. If you would just move it from the left of the cover to the right of the cover, it would be so much better. Do they know how much time? See, the problem is twofold, I guess. Midnight Publishing doesn't charge you a penny. And there are people who believe, rightfully so, you get what you pay for. You cannot pay for the amount of services that Yvonne and I and others, I mean, look at Brandy and Gwendolyn and Bonnie and Carol, you know, everybody. We're sharing each other's posts, we're commenting, we've created a family community, but we're also sharing bookmarks and putting books in libraries and helping each other get, I mean, Brandy's not a writer, but she's still promoting us all and trying to get things going. Got to share some information. The chats are getting longer. Bonnie said, Yvonne believed in me from the start. I would not have sent Errol's Journey without her encouragement. Gwendolyn is off topic. She drank water today. She also said,
Actually, a good thing. Like, way to go.
it's important. You must.
It's important.
Gwendolyn said she believes in us till we can do it ourselves. And Brandy says, I am an expensive pimp. I know. Gwendolyn and I were talking yesterday. We would like to double Brandy's salary from Midnight Publishing. She makes nothing, so we're going to double it and give her double nothing. Ciara, I'm right there with you as far as this is too good to be true, because I did self-publish 5 books. I did 3 of them the hardest way possible, shopping around, finding printers, and doing all the formatting myself. And then I got smart and I went to Amazon. I followed their format and I published 2 more. And then Gwendolyn says Brandy should be an expensive pen. But when Yvonne started this, I kind of came on board shortly after she really started making her little noise on Facebook. And it was still hard for me to let go. I tend to be a micromanager. I tend to be a perfectionist. I have analysis paralysis. The book's never good enough. And
That's a lot of us, though. I mean, and not to interrupt, but I wanted to dig into that because, like, as an author, there comes a point where you just have to let go. And you have to, because you could sit there and monkey with that manuscript for another 3 years. But yes, you shocked me at the speed that we did this. But at the same time, I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's done. It's gone. It's off. I can let it go. And I think we have to learn how to do that as an author because it's our baby. It's our art.
And that was the hard part for me, was letting it go and trusting the process. For me, I mean, I know Yvonne. I've known her for not quite as long as you have, but I've known her for more than 20 years. I've never, ever gone into anything with Yvonne that didn't turn out to be 1,000% successful. Everything I've done with her has been fun and remarkable. And so, and she never said, well, Mary, why don't you bring your books over here? She never once said, you know, I'm working on, you know, we just went out to lunch one day and we were talking. And I said, well, maybe I'll get around it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I've got it. And then, oh my God. Then I started talking. I started thinking. And I said, well, I've got this book and this book and this book and this book, and I need to do the illustrations for this one, and I need to finish the editing. And Yvonne just said, stop. Send me what you've got, and let's see where we go from there. 6 weeks later, she had published 6 books of mine. So you can't allow yourself to stop yourself. Oh, y'all, I got text messages. These women won't shut up.
So Ciara, while she's looking at the chat room, which is filled with,
I think I lost a few of them. I saw something up there from Brandy. She's gonna fire herself. No more book signings. No more nothing. And Gwendolyn said, yeah, Ma will make you go back to work. Bonnie said, absolutely. Gwendolyn also agreed it was hard to let go. I remember when you told me she first came on. Bonnie's, trust the process.
ladies and gentlemen, when Ciara sent me her book, now you have to understand, Ciara had already run the gamut with the idiots in traditional publishing.
Yeah.
They have a formula. They do not deviate from that formula. When I wrote my very first book in the 1980s and sent it out, I had enough rejection letters to wallpaper my house. I quit. I stopped until I moved to Florida. And I said, self, if you don't do it now, if you don't find a way now, you'll never do it. So self went looking. The only viable self-published place was Lulu. I said, okay, fine, we'll start there. There were no social medias. There was nothing.
You had MySpace.
Yeah, it had just started. MySpace had just started. And there was a group of 7 of us that banded together. Some of us are still around. Andrea de Manscoik is one of those 7. The rest of them have either fallen away, quit writing, or just given up altogether. And we band together, and just like Midnight Publishing, bringing all of these beautiful authors together to support one another, encourage one another, because there are the haters out there. There are those that say, oh, well, you need to change this cover. Why did you publish this book this way? And they're haters because they don't want to live their dream, but you're living yours. And Ciara, don't ever let anybody steal that dream, baby. You work too hard. Now, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, exactly. Publishing houses tried to put her book in a tiny microscopic box. You heard her say, some of them said that it would never sell the way it was written, that it wouldn't appeal to the masses, that it was only for one demographic, 18 to 20, white women sitting on the front porch, I don't know, 1.2 kids, I don't know, wearing plaid on Sunday, I don't know. But
and how many books has she sold so far?
Are you ready for this? 54 since the launch.
And is the book live?
The book is now live.
Okay, it's now live. But you sold like 16 before it ever went live, right?
And 39 this month.
We've been live 11 days.
And you've sold 54 books.
Yeah. Yeah, but it won't sell.
No, it
Show
won't sell.
off.
Overachiever.
Yeah,
I'll own that one.
Who does she remind me of? I think it's that woman, Ellie Ryan.
Yeah.
No idea.
Y'all, these women. Gwendolyn says her specialty, talking about Yvonne, is shock factor, speed to do things. And then, Gwen, you're going to have to fix this because I don't know what you mean. Oh, like my email spewouts? S-P-E-W-O-U-T-S. Brandy was talking about MySpace in the dinosaur ages, Ma. And then Gwendolyn said something about, I'm glad I skipped that. I'd rather argue with Kindle. And she remembers MySpace. And then Gwendolyn also said, God gave it. Your job is to follow and hang on.
So,
Hang on
ladies,
with both hands, baby girl.
so
Because
ladies
let
and
me tell
gentlemen,
you what, you got your first book out. How many are you working on now?
I have, there's two more planned.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I could tell.
she got the bug. She got the bug.
Okay, Gwendolyn said she has your book, but she hasn't read it yet. And she also said you fit in here like I do.
There
That's
you go.
scary.
I
So,
love it.
ladies and gentlemen, when I put that book up, it's in so many different genres. It's in history, it's in suspense, it's in thriller, it's in women's fiction, because we don't put our authors in boxes. The reason for that is because this group of authors is so multi-talented and so diverse that if Ciara decided she wanted to write a murder mystery, I would not stop her. I'd say, okay, get it written, get it written. Let's get it out there. Now that she's over the shock factor and she knows how her cousin works, it's you send it in, it gets done, boom, it's out there. Your mother said, mine's out already. I thought it'd take at least a year. I said, how long you known me, child? You should know better. You've known me all your
She should
life.
have.
She should,
I should have.
really? I don't believe in sitting on our authors' books. In the traditional publishing world, this is what they do. They only put out certain amount of books at certain amount of time. They don't put any new books out during the first quarter. Shame on them. They put books out in June and in December. Shame on them. We put books out whenever they get sent to me.
And Ciara,
Yes,
how many agents that you worked with did they tell you I'm not accepting submissions at this time?
Oh,
Call,
probably over 100.
reach back, reach out to me between the months of, usually they take off the entire summer. Yvonne takes submissions year round. She doesn't even, I don't, she might take Christmas off if she had plans. I don't know, but got some messages from Brandy. I need
that's the
some.
silly season. What, Carol?
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't think people understand that there's actually an app or there's a database called Query Tracker because as an author, you have to query so much
Yeah.
that you have to keep track of who you write to and who tells you to write back when and so like we all had it, but they told us to expect to go to 200 to 400 queries to get a hit. The fact that I had only 38 queries and had four full manuscripts requests, they said was astronomical.
It was
Um,
astronomical.
and I don't think people understand like how overwhelming they've made it.
And the
Oh,
reason is
please.
they don't want you to do it.
Yeah,
I queried over 300 for my first novel. And I got more than 200 responses saying, you're not the right fit, la 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 la. But what drove me crazy was, Agent A might want the first 10 pages. Agent A might want the first 5 chapters. The next one might want the first 10,000 words. So you've got to customize your files for everyone, and no two are alike.
no, and one wants a summary and one wants a summary plus the blurb for the next two if you're writing a series. And like, oh my gosh, I had no less than 15 different packets
Yep, yep,
to
yep.
send, just covering the most common requests.
And you've got to customize your email to them, and you've got to you need to find something personal where you
Yep.
can make a connection.
Yes.
You like cats too? Well, I've got a 19-year-old cat.
It was
Whatever.
ridiculous.
And
It was ridiculous.
they all have their one little thing, their little quirk. I love books that have dogs in them. I love books about writers who write. Duh. Yeah, I think, I don't remember who it was, but somebody wanted a book that starts in a car. The first line has to be in a car.
Oh,
And,
it's making
and
my head
Gwen just
spin.
said, oh no, it's
Okay,
too confusing.
so my favorite was so part of my book is a caregiver to a terminally ill child. So we deal with disability, we deal with caregiving. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll send it to some of the inclusion. I would get things back immediately that I didn't qualify because it wasn't my own disability and writing about my personal disability, because I was writing about accessibility and disability space, but it wasn't, but I wasn't in a wheelchair. Like the things
Because
I
you
got
weren't
back,
the disabled one.
yes. And the things I got back were wild. And I'm sitting there going, well, I actually do technically have a disability. It just happens to be invisible. Thank you very much. And like, but the things you got back were just like you said, they were so wild. And what you had to write to was so specific.
I'm so sorry. I'm focusing right now on BIPOC authors. I'm sorry. I was born white. Don't penalize me.
The thing is, I Carrie and I had a conversation about a paragraph where the one of the characters was speaking, then there was action, and then the character was speaking again, and I separated it. And I told her, I said, Ciara, this isn't going to work because if it's confusing me, who is formatting this book, think about your readers. And she said, well, that's the way my teacher, who's a publisher, said it was the right way to do. I said, those that can do, those that can't teach.
And she told me about this, Kara, and I've been editing for more than 30 years. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because it's so wrong to do it that way. I have to share what Brandy just said. I need some swag, please, from Ms. Benson, so I can pimp her
Yes,
out.
ma'am. All right, I'll listen to my pimp. I'll get you some.
I tell you, these pimps, they're hardcore.
They are. They are. Don't give me a
You
moment's
gotta pay
rest.
up quick.
Now let's go back to all those query letters that you had to send out and all of the different little nuances and packets that you had to try to keep track of. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what that does to an author's spirit and their psychic. They're so
Oh,
busy
It's
trying
debilitating.
to get this one book into a publishing house that they are not writing anything else. That is
no.
wrong on
I mean,
every
we
level.
literally, as a class, we all sat together 4 hours on a Friday afternoon. We would body double, right? We'd all log into a chat room just to force ourselves to write these things. So there was like 5 or 6 of us in there 4 hours a week, sending out query letters and managing stuff and just giving each other, you know,
Atta
like,
girls.
yeah,
You can do
because
this.
it was, yeah, it's okay, you got this. And then well, my book is this, should I write to this one? They said they like cats and it's about, a feline. Does it matter? The things that we were dealing with was, but yes, it's completely debilitating and completely just spirit breaking. I mean, why do you think you put it down? Like you try for a year and a half to get it picked up and then you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm watching over 180 query cycles about who's going to open and who's not going to open. And, 40 went through and I heard back from these 20 and, these 18 never responded and these 30 aren't taking until the fall. And this one opens up for 5 days over spring break. And it's exhausting. And so you put it down because you're
That's
just
so
like, I don't,
and, and,
I don't have it.
and
And you're right. You
it
don't write.
robs you of your creative ability. You don't
Yeah,
write.
You
you
And
can't.
don't
it
write.
destroys your dream.
Yep.
One of the things that sold me on Yvonne, she repeated to me verbatim what my husband had said just a week earlier. Because I had been querying and querying and querying. And I didn't do anything creative other than these query letters. And I had set a goal because I read somewhere that an author has to query at least 100 authors per year, just to stay ahead of the curve. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to beat that. I'm going to query 100 in the next quarter. And my husband, one day he walked in and he saw me just kind of shaking my head or whatever. And he said, what's wrong? I said, I just got another rejection from another agent. He said, Mary, your time is too valuable to be spent sending these query letters to these idiot agents. Why don't you become an agent? And I said, well, I would have to go to New York to learn the ropes. You got $150,000 laying around that I can take a sabbatical for about a year? So maybe a week later, I went to lunch with Yvonne. Just two friends going out to lunch. And I told her this story. But I didn't tell her what Curtis said. I just told her what I'd been doing. She said, Mary, your time is way too valuable. Why aren't you writing books instead of query letters? I'm like, well, I've heard that before. She said, because it's true. Got some messages. Gwendolyn says, talk about causing depression. Yeah, it can. Because my son got one rejection letter and he stopped writing completely. He said, if these guys turn me down, I can't be that good. And y'all don't know how good my son is. He's a real good writer, and I'm not talking like a mom. I'm talking like a fan.
Well,
Brandy said my dream was not to become a pimp of authors. Yeah, but Brandy, that's your calling, baby girl. Sometimes you might not want to be a pimp, but pimp's got to do what a pimp's got to do.
Sometimes you get what you need, not what you want.
exactly. Ciara, did you think you would have this much fun on the show?
It's hopeful. I'm loving it. Let's roll.
Gwendolyn just said, beach, time was the dream, right? Yeah, time is so valuable to a creative person. And then this is what people don't understand about Yvonne. She gives her time selflessly. And she doesn't say, okay, well, I'm going to work on Midnight Publishing from 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Yvonne's insomnia is our blessing. The woman does not sleep, so she works all the time.
It's a passion. It's not a job.
It's exactly.
And the thing is, hang on 1 minute, Ciara, before I lose this thought. The thing is, when I see the joy on your face, and the joy in your emails, and the joy in Mary's face, and the joy in Gwendolyn's face, and Bonnie's face, and all the other authors, your mother's face. When your mother sent me that manuscript, she didn't have any idea what was fixing to come her way.
No.
Just jumped right up and bit her. She should know better.
She should.
Knows me. But the joy that comes from y'all is priceless.
Look at Roy Owenby.
Yes.
He had no idea that she was going to get his book out as quickly as she did.
He said, I didn't expect
None of us know this. None of us expect her to work like a whirling dervish, but she does. And then that JC, he kind of lurked around Midnight Publishing for a while, and he recognized the love that we all share for one another. And he said, I want me a piece of that.
And there are no egos here. There are no egos. There's no oh, I'm jealous because you did this. It's equal opportunity, love, support, and compassion.
I am a little jealous of some of the writers that I'm reading. I told my son today, I said, you make me a little envious of your writing skill. I know I gave birth to you, but I didn't teach you to write this way. He didn't go to school. He doesn't have an MFA. He didn't have a publisher telling him how to not write the right way. He just writes organically. And I just read the next 10 chapters, the first 10 chapters of his next book. Y'all, I was crying. I was in absolute tears of he didn't do that. And also, this is my baby. How can he be writing so well? And Gwendolyn just said she knows. She's read some of his work.
So,
But,
ladies, this is what
oh,
we
Brandy said I have a big ego. I feel like I'm being used.
Ciara, what were you going to say, honey? I hope you didn't lose that thought in all of this madness.
No, actually, I mean, it comes back to Aaron too. When we talk about authors, and I think there are a lot of us survivors here. And writing is an art and it's therapeutic for a
Yes,
lot of us.
Yes.
And so I love that that's nurtured here because it's not about, did you fit the genre? Did you fit the trope? Did you fit this? Did you fit that? It's allowing us to heal through our art,
yeah.
Yes.
and help others heal through that art too. And I love that because I know I'm not the only survivor here. And it's amazing to have that support, and to not face the holy crap 150 and I don't want to create because I'm so busy with this side of it. And it lets you really pick up that creativity, which is what we need. So that's all I was going to say.
And it
She
lets
has
you
freed
breathe.
me so much from the burden. I mean, I still love to do the marketing, which so that is not really hard for me. But she's freed me from the need to do it all by myself. And I think one of the reasons Yvonne enjoys this, and I'm just going to put my thoughts into your head and you tell me yes or no. You're such an empath that you receive our joy.
I do.
Every time one of us publishes something, you soak it up like a sponge. And you're just, what do they say? You're living vicariously through each of us.
And
So,
I have
Yvonne has basically published 104 books in the last 2 years.
Okay, let me put it in perspective, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I've been in this business 20 years. I have done things that most indie authors dream about, and I did it without going through a traditional publisher. I did it because it was a direction that God put me in, and I firmly believe this, to have me here today. I've spoken in front of crowds of 300. I have spoken in front of law enforcement. I have been on crime serial killer panels. I have been on television 8 times in the United States, twice in Europe. Like I said, my first true crime was translated into French by a French publisher who came to me. I am not bragging, I am stating facts, and I want y'all to experience that thrill of adrenaline, that feeling of accomplishment, of having arrived. And whatever it takes, I'm going to make sure it happens for y'all. It's that important to me.
And I have to say, God is best when I get out of his way because
Yes.
he has put me in some odd places too. And I mean, I know you and I spoke about this. I never thought I would be sitting on a federal advisory council or testifying in front of Congress or writing congressional reports, like, writing my own testimony, writing testimony for other people. I never thought that would happen. And God was like, no, you're here. And I was like, I don't want to be here. And he's like, oh, too bad.
Too bad.
Too bad you're here. And so, and I love it because this is so driven in that way too. It's one of the things I love about working with you too is I don't have to worry about it because I know God has it and he's got us on the right move and he's got us here. And, at some point I just throw up my hands and say, fine, take it.
Drive
I'm
the
done
train.
fighting.
Just drive the train, God.
Oh,
And let's see what chat message as the duck goes by.
Brandy said, I'm proud of all the authors. And I think we kept her on as our pimp, even though she fired herself a while ago. And Gwendolyn said, yes, y'all have helped us not feel alone in that. He told me be still, and things went nutty. I think in a good way, right, Gwendolyn? Went nutty in a good way? Because Lord knows they have for me. I mean, we've talked about this on other shows. If I had not gotten out of my way and out of God's way, when I had my heart attack in December, I probably wouldn't have survived.
I
But
would have raised her
because,
from the dead and killed her myself.
sounds like not a possibility.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
well, Yvonne and I've had this conversation, because I learned to let go and release it and trust the process and just write. Just sit down and write and don't worry about all the other stuff. Let Yvonne handle all that. I've been able to publish as many books as I have. And if I had been hoarding them and holding on to them, you're like, my precious. When my heart attack came, God would have said, well, she's not listening. Let's just take her out of the equation.
And the thing is, Ciara, my heart when I started this was I had no idea when I started this that we were going to be here and we're not even 2 years old. It was to help two friends of mine and publish my own work because my publisher had the nerve to die. And I got it through a text message. Oh, Andrea's dead. Gee, thanks. So, but what has transpired is God saw down the road and God said, there are writers out there who need to heal. This is their venue to heal, to grow, to come out of the shadows, to fly. And I hope and pray that you feel that way as well, because you needed to heal. You needed to heal from all of those rejections and the hammer that kept coming down on your self-respect, your self-confidence, your ability to believe that you are enough. Honey, y'all are all more than enough. Y'all are everything.
Because
And you're right, it has.
yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, Yvonne. And this is how you are serving not only other writers, but you're serving God by giving those of us who need this healing safe place an outlet.
Yeah, because nobody messes with my clan. And you
Well,
know
and I think I mean, too, it's such an embodiment of we live in the world, but not for the world, right?
yes.
It is such an embodiment
Yeah,
of God gave us words, God gave us stories. We're going to get them out there. We're going to share them. And it doesn't have to
because they
fit the
mean
world's mold.
something.
Yep.
They do mean
So
something.
every
And
story we tell, if it only helps one person,
It
that's
helps one
enough.
person. Yep.
Yeah.
and what
Brandy
I
just
do,
said,
what Brandy say?
Brandy said, you let go, and Ramonda grabbed you and said, let's go.
Yeah, that's true. She did.
And it's absolutely true because there's no way that book would have done what it's done if it wasn't a God thing.
What what I do with every one of their books, ladies and gentlemen, is as writers, we get in the weeds and we write a story. We have a beginning, a middle, and an end with subplots. But what I pull out of books is things that these authors don't even realize are in there. And that's how I market those books. In a different house, that would not happen. Because all they do is they run through, they format it, they put it out, they slap a cover on it and say, here it is, world, go buy it. Books are personal to these authors. Books are things that come out of their souls. With every book that is written by every one of these authors, there's a piece of that author in that book, whether they know it or not. And Ciara's book, Salt Covered Lies, and we're going to talk about her book here in just a minute. In this book, there's more to the story than just the story. There are life's lessons that if you read with an open mind, you can grab onto them and you can live them. And I don't even think Ciara realized that those life's lessons are there. But I did when I was reading. I got so engrossed in that book, I forgot I was formatting it for publication. And yeah, I went through that.
That means I did my job.
Exactly.
That's right.
That book's 300 pages long, and I couldn't stop reading it. And I went, "What are you doing, Yvonne? You're supposed to be getting this ready book for publication." But let's talk about Salt Covered Lies. How did that book come into being? What brought that book to your creative tenure?
So, I was doing my MFA, right? You have to have a thesis, you have to have a dissertation. I had 6 ideas on the books, wasn't happy with any of them. And we got this stupid writing assignment where we had to write a dream sequence. And I wrote the scene where she's in the cell and hallucinating her daughter as a dream sequence. And I got so invested in that character that I started thinking about how to build this out. And I wanted to write about, being a caregiver and the trials we face as caregivers because it's not talked about enough. I could give you stats. We're 39% more likely to consider suicide. Veteran spouse, I think it's 1 every 8 days commits suicide. 132 active duty dependents committed suicide in 2020. So, I mean, we could go on and on and on, right? Nobody really looks at the cost of caregiving, or they don't even identify as caregivers because it's like, oh, I'm just doing the spouse thing. So I wanted to deal with some of those, but I wanted to not hit people over the head with it. And all of a sudden I had this character and I was like, I really like her. And I was like, how to make this interesting? And I was like, I didn't want to write romance. I didn't want to write this. I didn't want open door scenes. I didn't want, I didn't want to write, I was not in a good place of mind to write like murder mystery or anything like that. I was like, I want to write something fun. We're gonna travel around the world. We're gonna talk about art. I had an art background. I taught art history, and I was like, let's talk about crazy art stuff. And I was like, you know what? Nobody ever believes me that this 6,000 pounds, this 6,000 pound artistic piece called it's the Ghent altarpiece is the most stolen piece of art in history. How do you easily steal 6,000 pounds? I was like, let's play with it. So, and that altarpiece was actually stolen and stored in Altasa in the salt mine. And I was like, okay, I got it now. We're going to steal some art. And I was like, but I didn't want Nazis to be the bad guys. It's too easy, right? Too easy. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's make it that the Nazis aren't the bad guys, but something else happened and someone else was stealing art. And so I started playing with it. And all of a sudden, I had this really elaborate thing that started just snowballing in front of me. And it was this woman who had become a survivor after losing her child. Her husband was an ass, and we see this a lot, couldn't take the disability and decided it was too much trouble and left. And as horrible as it sounds, it's not atypical, honestly. There's a lot of families that disability comes in and they're like, I can't deal with it. And so she was alone. She was in the worst possible moment. She was facing medical debt. She was trying, to pull herself up. And, so I had all these great damaged characters. And then I'm like, what do you do with this? And then Archibald Fletcher starts showing up. And I love my characters because eventually you start writing about them and eventually they push their way onto the stage. All of a sudden they're on the page and you're writing them and you're like, well, shit, go take a back seat. He's like, no, I'm here. I'm here. Okay, fine. I'm not ignoring you anymore. And he was like, I need my own version. And I was like, okay, fine. And so it goes back between Archibald Fletcher, who was a monuments man, but no one knew he was. He had to keep it hidden. And the reason was that he uncovers this art theft um, and they kill his entire platoon for it. And he and his best friend survived by the skin of their teeth, just by happenstance. And I thought I wanted it. I mean, I'm a veteran wife. I was an active duty spouse. I wanted it really real for military. And my husband missed two Land Rovers blowing up a building by 15 seconds because he stopped for 15 seconds to pick up interpreters that never showed. So I was like, okay, we're going to have the near miss that happens all the time. And they did. They missed it. They get out. But now all of a sudden they don't know why. And they're trying to unravel it because they're being hunted. And to make it work, Issa, or the archivist, the woman, is in the modern age, and she's uncovering these letters. And she's like, wait, he's in Altasa in May. Like there's no way he was in March, and he's like, there's no way he was there in March. The Allied forces didn't get there till May. Everybody knows that. And so it starts unraveling that the whole historical record's been changed in order to cover this up. And so they're fighting against everyone to uncover this. And Issa is supported in her own, by all of this by the grandfather's son, who has built together a network of people who used to be active in various forms, and they're doing the security thing because they just need the adrenaline dump, and so it just kind of unraveled into what it is. But I didn't want to let go. And this is what I heard all the time is, well, you can't do a character driven thriller. And I'm like, yeah, we can.
You have
Yeah, we
to.
can. We're doing it. We're like, this is not a plot driven book. This is a character driven book. And so this woman who's been at the bottom of the low has to figure out that she even wants to live again, because she is so, a year and a half after the death of her kid, she's still ready to crawl in the grave with her. And Fletcher, on the other side, has to figure out what he's willing to sacrifice in order to save his family. Because he's being hunted by all of these people in 1945 because he happened to survive. And so that's really how it came about, is that one scene just kind of ballooned into the story that really needed to be told, so that I could talk about, not only art, because, at the time, we still talk about like the repatriation of Jewish art that was stolen, and, how is that done if we don't have a good provenance, and that's all in the book too. What happens to the black markets and how it's hidden away, and and how it was kind of snuck, and yeah, so we cover, like, I covered a lot of ground, which is why nobody liked it.
She really did, and the beautiful part is, as the reader is reading this book, there are many layers. I can't talk. It's late at night. I get tongue tied. There's many layers in the book that you peel away like an onion, because you see Issa developing in her own right. You see her struggling mentally, emotionally, with the loss of her child, with her worth as a person, with survivor's guilt. You see the grandson doubting that what Issa is telling him is real, but yet he's curious, he wants to know more. You see them being hunted in the present like Fletcher was hunted in the past. It's like a parallel universe. And without giving the story away, there's all these other characters within this book that come to life. And when I read the one scene, I wanted to go to that country myself and make people disappear. Just saying.
Hey, and I was not picking on anything that is, those are all actual laws in that
That is true.
country.
That is true.
It is
That is
true.
very
A
true.
lot of us as Westerners don't understand that. Um, and so that's the thing with my book is almost 95% of it is factually on,
And
even to
and that's
Patton's
what
third. And
makes it so much fun.
And it
I
makes it
know.
believable
It's
when you
very
Yeah.
pull from
believable.
history, and you know it's not a history book, but it's a historical fiction, so it makes it feel real.
And ladies and gentlemen, you get in the book. You don't just read the book. If you sit down and try to just read the book, honey, I'm gonna tell you what. You need your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast, snacks, drinks. Take the book with you for potty breaks because you are in the book. You are right there in every scene. And you don't want to stop because you'll say, well, I'll just read one more page. And then 3 chapters later, you're going, oh,
Is
the
that the
sun's
sun
coming up.
coming up?
Dang it, I have work today.
Yeah, I gotta work. It's called Salt Covered Lies. Mary's got a chat. What is
Yeah.
it?
Oh, I got lots of chats, and I don't want them to scroll on up out of my way. Gwendolyn said, "Can somebody write a book?" This tells you how far back this was. Can somebody write a book without leaving a piece of their soul if it's good?
No, they
No,
cannot. Not if
not a
they're
good one.
not if
Brandy
they're
came
true
back
writers.
shortly after and said, "No, ma'am, it takes the whole soul, not part of it." And then you were saying something about your husband, and Gwendolyn said, "Oh, God bless him." Then when Yvonne mentioned that one scene, Gwendolyn said, "Oh Lord, she sent the monkeys."
Yeah, that I am known to send flying monkeys out when. Yeah.
I
Well, it
love
was
our
worthwhile in
chats.
this scene.
I love our chats. They do kind of get in the way of the conversation.
Trust me, you'll get to the scene, and as a woman, you'll be, oh, holy.
Yeah.
You just want to jump right in there.
Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about with Kara's book. And for a traditional publisher or an agent to say, "Oh, it doesn't fit our formula," shame on them. Shame on them that they even have a
Their
formula.
loss is our gain.
Absolutely.
Now it's in 4 formats. Where's my fingers?
Yes. It is in paperback, hardback, Kindle, and Audible.
Okay. Thank you for not being afraid of Audible.
Told you once I'll let it go, I'll let it go. I was like, it's all you.
Well, I know that there's a demographic, and they're much younger than me. See, Yvonne and I are nearly the same age, and so we're like, technology, yes,
Let me
something
go
to
play
make
with
our life easier. Um, my mother just was so in awe of a cell phone. She thought that was the greatest invention because I could call long distance and talk as long as I wanted, and it didn't cost me anything extra. And so she was just fascinated by it. But I mean, my mother was a child of the Great Depression, so she knows what it's like to not have electricity, not have
Right.
central air. Yvonne and I embrace every kind of technology there is that will help the writers. Gwendolyn just said fingers attached to hands. I'm not sure if that's technology or what she's talking about. Gwendolyn
It was
needs to
really,
be decoded sometimes.
When
I'll say it was really easy for me. So we deal with multi things in my house. You know, we'll just say it, okay? I have kids on spectrum. As a matter of fact, if you deploy to Southeast Asia or Southwest Asia, you're 11% more likely to have them. Um, I get that not everybody reads. I get that, my husband's losing his ability to read. So for me, Audible was easy because it's really an accessibility thing. Would I love to be able to pay a narrator to really narrate that thing? And yeah, but
Not
you know,
about
like
fifteen
what is it,
thousand
seven hundred
dollars.
dollars an hour?
Yeah,
That's the low ball.
Yeah.
And that's just to
Gwendolyn.
read. That's not editing and all the other stuff they do.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, it'd be lovely, but at this point, if it allows someone to enjoy it and to heal from it and follow the journey and just get a kick out of it, not everybody can read traditionally. Not everybody can, it just, yeah. So I loved it. I'm like, go for it, because if that makes it easy for someone, so be it.
When I said this before, and when my husband was dying, he got where he could not hold a book. He couldn't even hold a Kindle, and he had sundowners. And you know what sundowners does.
Yes, ma'am.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you've never caregived for anybody with sundowners, it is unexplainable, because as soon as the sun goes down, they start getting anxious. They drift off to sleep, and then about the time you drift off to sleep, they're awake having a panic attack. So, what I did is I spent a fortune in Audible books. I would put the headphones on him, and that's how he would sleep, was listening to the book, because he couldn't hear anything but the voices.
So for our military with traumatic brain injuries, which is what my husband has, if they have dementia from it,
Yep,
we see sundown all the time.
yep.
So yes, ma'am. Audible video games is another one because it helps calm the mind. Yes, ma'am. 100%. And I was there. That's that's what someone would want. Have at it.
I'm
Well,
expecting Yvonne to come up with a way to gamify our books.
we're working on it. And
Right?
I think we can. The voice that I have for your book is a Southern female between 30 and 40, and when she is reading this book, there are inflections. I mean, it's over the top. And as when Amazon first launched Audible, they sent me an email and said, "Would you be willing to be one of our beta testers?" I said, "Let's go for it. Let's do it. Why not? What's it going to hurt?" Well, as the technology of the Audible voices has taught itself, the voices have gotten better.
Yes.
The same thing when I do the 7-second videos. I may do 6 or 7 of the same video to get the narrator to say what I want it to say. And they inflect, they do all kinds of different things, and they learn as you reprogram them. So as Amazon's Audible voices are used more and more, they're learning more and more. What I would love, what I can't wait for Amazon to do, is to allow the children's books to go on Audible. They won't do Audible now because of the pictures. And they don't have chapters, and they're not long enough. But I see down the road that coming of age, I see it happening. And you think I won't put our kids' books up on Audible? Oh, yes, ma'am, watch this. Audible, 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 Audible. Yeah. That's just my finger go. Chat message.
Brandy said, well, the bill is due upon receipt. If I'm going to pimp, I need payment. I take books, bookmarks, but I won't take your soul. And Gwendolyn explained herself when I couldn't understand what she was saying. It's your
Yeah.
fingers, they're attached to your hands. You were asked where they were because I was doing like this
Oh,
off camera, and I'm over here where I think my camera
go
is,
wearing your fingers.
but it's over here. And Brandy, when we were talking about sundowners, my Papa Jack as well. And Gwendolyn said she just made and printed new bookmarks. That's my job for this weekend, ladies, getting bookmarks out. And books.
So
I've got books to go to the library.
nice. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you heard this morning on our live, Ciara, but where Brandy works at TAG, there's 3 shifts. And so they have a little mini library in their break room. and you can take a book or leave a book, or take a book and read it on your break. And so what some of the folks are doing is they're sending Brandy some of their books to go into that library. Again, exposure. Brandy's already
Yeah.
put bookmarks in there, so that's why she's saying send me bookmarks, because she has people asking for bookmarks. When are you going to bring us more bookmarks? Because she talks about y'all all the time, all the time.
And just imagine, somebody's got salt-covered lives. They're reading it at work. It's supposed to stay at work. It's a library book. You know what? My uncle, my brother, my cousin would love to read this book. I'm going to go buy it. Especially if they start thinking about, they've got someone who is disabled and can't hold a book, or can't hold the attention long enough to hold a book. They could listen to it on Audible.
And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you this. Every one of our adult books, with the exception of one, is on Audible. Every one of them, with the exception of one, is on Audible, because the author just absolutely refuses to allow us to do his book in Audible. Sadly, that's his loss. Our coloring books are not on Audible because, obviously, who puts a coloring book on Audible? And our children...
You know what? I just thought of something. Gwendolyn's affirmations book, if she wanted to turn that into like a graphic novel or something with chapters, she could put those affirmations and expand on them a little bit. So Gwendolyn, I know you're listening.
You just got a to-do list, honey.
Oh, yes. Gwendolyn just said, Brandy Highfield putting me on her calendar for pickup for the bookmarks. And Brandy said, don't worry, I pimped my ma too. Oh, we know she's been pimping Silent Scream like crazy.
Yes, she has. So
Gwendolyn's all for it. Why not? She's going to do that. That would make an excellent Audible book, and a gift book. Be a great gift for people.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's circle back around to the beginning of tonight when Ciara talked about being rejected. How many times, sweetheart?
I think we had 46 that I actually got responses from,
Out of how many did you send out?
including those that were closed, like that I researched, probably 180.
So, less than 10% responded. And
those who didn't respond were automatic rejections.
Exactly. And those that responded told her they were the wrong genre, they were the wrong demographic, they were character driven, not plot driven, they were not going to sell. 54 books, 15 of those before the launch. Pre-ordered from Kindle, so that when the Kindle went live, it just was there. It was already there. She sold 39 books since the 1st of March.
The 9th.
Yeah.
The 9th we launched.
Since the 9th of March, and this is the 20th. The 9th of March.
11 days.
So understand, ladies and gentlemen, never allow somebody to steal your dream. They don't have your permission. One thing. Number 2, those that can do. Those that can't teach and traditionally publish and become agents for publishing houses. Just saying. I can guarantee you not one publisher in those traditional publishing houses has ever written a book, published a book, or maybe not even read a book.
But they know what sells.
They do, because they've done the research.
Oh, wait. What about the publishers' best-selling lists? How do you get on those?
Tell us, Mary. Tell our audience how you get on New York Times bestsellers list.
Well, I'd rather tell them how you get on Midnight Publishing's best-selling list.
Well, let's tell them the bad news first, then we tell them the good.
Okay, bad news first. You pay your publisher, or you take it out of your advance, and you basically buy a spot on the New York Times, Washington Post, whatever best-selling list.
They also
they send out a letter to the stores like Barnes and Noble or Books a Million or wherever, and say, here, these are the books we're sending out this month. Check off the ones you'd like to see on the bestseller list. It's a popularity contest? No. Now you want to get on I already know I don't know the first and second location, but I think I got a pretty good idea. I'd say for March, Ciara Benson's probably going to be our #1 bestseller. And Aaron Frakes is probably going to be #2 bestseller. Just guessing from what I've heard. And those are the Midnight Publishing's best-selling authors. We go through, well, Yvonne goes through the list, and she says, okay, Ciara sold 54? More than 50 books. I don't know. I can't count this. It's getting late. It's Friday night. But anyway, you know, we've sold this many books, and the next person in line is, I mean, your mom's been on the bestseller list a couple of times. So it depends on, you're competing against other authors at Midnight Publishing. But Yvonne and I thought about it. We all deserve to have our books listed and awarded as best-selling books at Midnight Publishing. These are real statistics. These aren't something you had to pay for or had to audition for. I mean, do y'all know how the Oscars work?
Yeah.
Just saying. There's no money exchange. There's no politics going on. The minute you start talking to Yvonne about politics, she's going to kick you out. That's not something she wants to do. Brandy just said failure is never an option. They don't have the PR system like y'all have. They don't have a pimp.
And the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we stress to our authors, that our authors are already successful because they are published.
You know what that's for?
5%.
5% of all the people who say, I'm going to write a book, actually do.
And less than
and get published. There's a difference between writing a book, because I've written a lot of books. They're still on my computer. They're waiting for me to publish them. I will get around to it because God told me I have enough time to get everything done that's important. And I've got Yvonne on my side to make sure it happens. And she's already told me I can't die till I finish. But
exactly.
Out of 100 people that say, I'm going to write a book, 5 of those people will actually be published. Because a writer writes, and you've been a writer for many years, Ciara. You've written a lot of things, but you are only just now a published author. There's a difference between a writer and an author, and that's 5%.
And the thing is, our authors are successful because they did.
They followed through.
They followed through. And if our authors sell 1 book in a month, they're successful.
Absolutely.
If they don't sell a book that month, they're still successful. They are not failures because they did. My brother, who was challenged, and Ciara, your mother may have talked to you about Stanley. He was told, my mother was told that he couldn't, but somebody forgot to tell Stanley he couldn't, so he did. And we have Stanleyisms that we use. And one of those Stanleyisms that Mary uses is, just do it. Just do it. People can say, well, you know, I have a book. I've been wanting to write a book for a long time.
Why not?
What's stopping you?
Just do it.
Yeah.
If Ciara can do it with 5 children, and God bless her, I had 3 because I didn't want 4, and I wound up with 6 because I gained 3 when I married Jack. So I don't know how that happened, but anyway, and a full
We're
time
not gonna go into how that happens. That's why
God's
we
got
don't do erotica.
God, exactly. God's got a wicked sense of humor. Is all I'm gonna say. And she's a full time caregiver for a combat veteran. And y'all, people that know me know how I feel about my veterans. I'll hurt you over my veterans because they went. They weren't called. They went because it was a need.
Yeah.
And that is very close to my heart. So if Ciara can do it with everything that's on her plate and with always in the back of her mind, and I understand that journey in the back of your mind, that thought, and you know what thought I'm thinking about. I don't have to say it out loud.
No, ma'am.
And she did this. Plus being rejected by agents and publishers who are too dumb to get out of their own way. She did this. She's successful. She wrote an amazing novel that is going places because she's an amazing human being. And she understood that she can make her dream real. She is responsible for making her dream real. Sure, there's these little self-saboteurs probably sitting on her shoulder going, yeah, right. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. It's not good enough. It's not this. It's not that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you it's that and a whole lot more.
It really is. I mean, I have to say that it was one of the few things I did for me. My whole life was taking care of everybody else. Um, you know, it's wild. I was writing this novel while traveling between a husband in a hospital in Nashville and a daughter in a hospital in Bradenton, Florida. And I had 4 other kids in the car commuting between the two, and I would write till 1 a.m. Um, while managing everything else. But it was my time, and it was for me, and it was one of the first things I really did for me. Um, and it's extra cool that it got published and that it's out there. Um, but don't let circumstances hold you back. Um, one of one of the guys who I absolutely love, his name's Travis Mills. He runs a foundation in Maine. One of 5 quadruple amputees from this war, and he will tell you he's not disabled, he's recalibrated.
There you go.
Ooh, I like
And he
that.
said he's recalibrated. He can do what he wants. He just has to figure out how to do it. And if I can give anyone anything from tonight, it's that. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life gets in the way, but don't let it hold you back. Recalibrate, reshuffle, keep going. Um, Even if it's insomnia backed, I don't care. Because I do that too. Coffee is marvelous, all right? Don't diss the caffeination.
Got to have the coffee. Got to have the coffee.
um, but yeah, I mean, don't let yourself get in your own way. And it's okay to take that time to say, I'm going to do this for me, and do that thing for you.
Gwendolyn, I'm trying to make sure I got everybody's caught up. I think I missed a few. But Gwendolyn just said a few minutes ago, that's okay. We appreciate her even if they couldn't. When we were talking about your rejections.
Oh,
And she
thank
also
you.
gained 4 children in marriage. She had 2. But she's absolutely right. I mean, the way I feel about every new author who comes on to Midnight Publishing, I feel like I'm from a family of 8 children, and I know that my mother used to sometimes feed stragglers, as she'd call them. And she'd be cooking something, and she'd say, "Well, just pour another cup of soup, a cup of water in the soup, or throw in another potato." That's what we are. We are a soup or a stew of so many things, and we just throw in a new flavor every now and then, and it makes the entire experience better for all of us. Gwendolyn is the family vampire, she says. Will be sucking on my neck.
All right. Well, no garlic at family dinners.
Well, speaking of, I had y'all will appreciate this. And Gwendolyn will. I have some friends that live in yeah, up north.
She has
And
friends. That's the
yeah,
important
friends
part.
I have two that live up in North Florida in
Two
Leesburg.
friends.
Two friends, and he had to have his pacemaker taken out and another one put in because his body was rejecting it. So I was there with him, and we were getting ready to check him out to take him home. And so Patsy, his wife, goes back there. In a few minutes, she comes out. She says, "Vaughn, Jay wants you back here." And I said, "Okay." She said, "I told him you didn't need to see this, but Jay wants you." And I said, "Okay. Blood I'm not afraid of, right? I've taken stitches out of my husband. I'm not afraid of blood." So I go back there, and he said, "I have dinner for you." And I looked at him deadpan. Now, there's a male nurse standing next to the bed. I looked at him deadpan, and I said, "Jay, honey, I don't feed off family." I said, "However, if the nurse will go back and get one of those little cups you put the little lid on, we'll put some in a cup, and we'll take it home, put it in the refrigerator for later." What had happened is when they took the pad off to redress him to go home, there was a hematoma, and the hematoma exploded, and he started spurting blood. And so he said, "I have your dinner." And I thought Patsy was just going to fall on the floor. So there's your laughter for the day, folks. But hey, Anne Rice, yes, Interview with a Vampire. And ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand, I read Anne Rice in the 90s. And Anne
Yeah.
Rice was not well known in the 90s. I
No.
borrowed Interview with a Vampire and read that book. And because I borrowed that book, I bought everything she had that I could get and waited. I couldn't wait for the next book to come out. And that's when books were books. Now books, sadly, in that world are not done with flavor. If I want they're done with formula. You know, if I want baby formula, I'll go to the store and get powdered milk. Yuck. I want a book that's got meat in it. I want a book that when I put it down for whatever reason, if I'm going somewhere, my whole thought process is how fast can I get home to read this book? If you can crawl inside of a book, it's a good book. And Salt Covered Lies, you crawl inside of that book. And I can't. Oh, are you in my head again? It's crowded in there.
All right. So my first title was Of Monuments and Lambs.
I like that.
It was horrible, they told me.
Bless them. And not in a good way.
That was the Southern bless your heart. Yeah, yeah. So the original title was Of Monuments and Lambs because of the Monuments Men and the Ghent altarpiece, which is in that mine.
And that would have been perfect too. Either
I
one of
know.
those would have worked. See, you could have sent it back to me of Monuments and Land and we'd have run with it. I, okay, well, we can do whatever. So I know that both of you ladies need to get back to your prospective spouses. I want to say thank you, Ciara. Honey, I love you. Your
Thank you.
your family first. Blood by blood, ladies and gentlemen. This is part of my clan by blood. She's also family publisher. Exactly.
Yeah. You all got me. Now you're never gonna get rid of me. So
That's
just
okay.
keep proud.
And any of your author friends out there, baby, any of your writer friends that are still struggling, you know where to send them.
Yes, ma'am.
Send them. Yeah. And
Yeah.
stop querying and start writing. Let's get them out there. They have a voice. They deserve to be heard. They don't deserve to be put in a quagmire of emails back and forth until they die, and then on their deathbed they're going shoulda, woulda, coulda. We don't live with regrets here at Midnight Publishing. That's why we push the books out. And we are trendsetters, ladies and gentlemen. We are not trend followers. Our graphics in our children's books are not done by illustrators. They are done by graphics that I find and create. Our book covers are not done by quote unquote professional book cover designers. I am a graphic designer. I design our covers. And that is because when I get into that book, I see that cover in my head. Roy Owensby's book, The Amnesia Puzzle, when I read the first line of that book, the cover was there and it wouldn't go away. When I saw it, it would not go away. So that's why you see the alligator with the stake as the cover of his book. It makes you want to, what is she talking about? The Amnesia Puzzle? Alligator? You got to read the book. That's what I do. And
Well, you took my cover because I mean I had a totally different idea, and we started talking about letters and all this other stuff, and I was like, oh, wait,
but we
you're
had
right.
but we had
Yeah.
but we had
So,
the problems we had with your cover was it would not fit Amazon specs, and I couldn't give you Amazon specs because I couldn't do it until I started uploading the book.
and it was fine. Here's something fun about the cover we do have. So I had a friend who had memorabilia from her grandfather who was in World War II, who started piecing it together. So the photo on that cover is from her grandfather. It's her actual grandfather when they served in World War II. Get this. Her grandfather was security at one of the salt mines, not Altasa, but a different one. She didn't even know.
Nice.
Um, but she's also a military spouse, and she took that still life for me, and she was throwing salt on it and everything. And so that's what became the cover. But we didn't even think about it till you started telling me about letters. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like that's where this starts. And so yeah, ironically, the soldiers on that photo
That's a
were indeed security for salt mines during World War II.
It
So
gives me chill bumps. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we roll here. And we did take her cover, but it took a lot of back and forth because for Amazon, there's a different format for Kindle, there's a different format for the hardcover, and there's a different format for the paperback. And if I don't put those covers within that format, Amazon says, what, are you stupid? You've done this long enough, you know better. We're not publishing this until you get it right, whatever you have to do. And with the paperbacks and with the hardbacks, the author's name cannot be at the bottom, especially with the hardbacks because you have a wrap. Same thing with the title. You have there's a wrap for the hardback that goes around the pasteboard of the book. Same thing with the paperback. It has to be within those parameters. And we do all of our books in 6x9, but yet the format for the book covers are different. So Karen and I had to go back and forth several times. We both
oh
had to
yeah.
pull our hair out. But to know that that's an actual photograph from a guard from one of the salt mines makes that book even more dynamic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and Mary, this was one of those I thought I really had pissed off the publisher because we were going back and forth. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to get. Anyway, but yeah, now that did I trigger that clause? I didn't mean to trigger the clause.
No, because we hadn't even put the book up yet. We were still in the. Disappear.
It's in the alligator.
Yeah, yeah. And then we start over. They all come down. And then you have to, and then and what happens is that particular book goes to the bottom of my pile. Right now I'm sitting on 5 books, 6 books I'm working on. And I am not going to stop the process first in, first out of redoing somebody's book because their Aunt Susie said she didn't like the cover. I didn't do the cover for Aunt Susie. I did the cover for the 4 million viewers I got on YouTube. I did the cover for the 19,000 viewers I have on TikTok. I did the cover for the 300 and some odd viewers that I have on our Riverside. I did the cover for the 3,000 plus viewers that we have on our author website. So if Aunt Susie's got her knickers in a twist, tell her to take them off, readjust them, and put them back on. Or Aunt Susie can pay me to redo the book and it'll get out when it gets out. It's that simple. I take care of my authors. I work very diligently to take care of my authors. I structure their books, and
Yes,
I
ma'am.
y'all have no idea this. I don't sleep anyway, but when I am in a dead sleep and I wake up out of a dead sleep because this cover is driving me crazy and the voices won't shut up from the book going, go do that cover now. Now we want on that cover. You listen to the voices. Right? Now, Kara's bored now.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Well, you have to listen to the voices. That's how they get on the page.
Exactly. And on the cover. So
And if you don't listen to them, they keep you up.
they do, they do. But
They don't shut up.
and do what they Lord. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we deal with it on a daily basis. So, with that little tidbit of humor, Kara, do you have any final words, beautiful?
No, just I love this. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making this enjoyable. And thank you for listening when God called.
You're welcome. And you know you'll circle back around and come back when we get ready to release the second book. Is it done yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
This is my problem with you, is I looked at my husband the other day and I said, dang it, now I actually got to write the second book. I have to pull out
Yes.
my whole plot line and figure it out.
Well, you left me hanging.
I know.
That's true.
But no, she's not done with me yet.
Might be something entirely different.
Yep. Well, I got to tell you that, 3 years ago, I thought I knew what Issa was going to do, and she has since slapped me upside the head and said we're doing something different.
There you go.
So, I'm trying to listen to her now because her and Flip will not get off the page, and Neil is being a little demanding in the background. So, we're figuring it out right now. It's an argument.
See, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world of books and the world of publishing.
Yeah, we're all a little mad here.
Okay.
I'll work on my tips. Jealous that you got one that's not rude because I have too many that are rude. Yes.
Then we
Okay.
lost. We lost her at 13.
Yeah.
She died 2015. Yeah, she was 13. She, she, she was a mess. She was indeed. So, there, see,
Yvonne might charge me though. I left her hanging. She said I'm not allowed to leave her hanging long, so she might charge me.
Exactly. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do at Midnight Publishing. It's a family, and it is a very close family. And I will close with this. When the haters come from my family, my clan, my children, and I'm talking in this world, when the haters come, when the scammers come, when the predators come, they have to come through me. And it never ends well because I am the gatekeeper. And as the gatekeeper, it's my responsibility to take care of my authors and not allow them to be hurt, to be scammed, to be robbed of their dreams. And it won't happen here. So tell your friends if they're still looking for a home, how much fun you have here at this home, and
Yes, ma'am.
how much you're loved and cherished, and how as a collective we help each other's dreams not only become real, but to shine and to live and to breathe and to grow. Because, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of our life, what are you going to be remembered for in that dash? That's the question you ask yourself. I love you both. I can't wait to bring you back here. I am.
Love you.
Ciara, it has been.
Yes. We're doing this again, right?
We are doing this again. Absolutely. No, we can just bring you back whenever you want
Good.
to come back.
Okay, let's do it.
Well, she's going to come see us when we're up at
Yeah.
Melbourne in May. Kara's coming up to when we give our talk. Mary's dancing in her chair. That's frightening. There you go. And and Kara, get the book pimp her bookmarks before she comes to Florida and get you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Gwendolyn got her orders. I got my orders. Now we're good.
There you go. So
See, I didn't warn you. I'm as crazy as y'all are, so you just weren't prepped for this.
figured she was. She's blood. I mean, her mama's as crazy as we are too. Just get her wound up and watch her go. So tell your wonderful, handsome, beautiful husband that we said thank you for your service, for the sacrifice. Give him a hug from a cousin by marriage and let him know that he is loved. Hug those babies. Tell them to hug you from me because you are so loved. And
Yes,
not
ma'am.
just here. You're so loved by blood too.
I love you.
Couldn't wait to tell you that. So until next Wednesday on the 14th of April, we will be having our workshop called Putting Together a Manuscript, How to Put One Together. And then next Wednesday, who do we have next Wednesday? Rose Paddock. Patrick. Rose Patrick will be with us next Wednesday morning. And and
We love you too, especially when you wave our tips.
and ladies and gentlemen, remember, Midnight Publishing is God driven and God inspired, and He gets all of the glory for everything
Amen.
that we do here. And God protected. He gets all the glory. Without Him,
Amen.
none of this would have happened. None of it. So
Always.
until next time, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ladies, my sisters, my friends. So I guess they're all tired. I mean, we've been on the show for 2 hours, so I know some husbands that are probably going, "What the heck?" So it was.
The hockey game's on. They're good. Mostly teens now. They all got,
Their own lives. Yeah, they're all. They have
yeah.
devices.
Well, not the youngest, but I wore her out today. We went escape rooming today. We beat the record time, believe it or not.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. I got lots of them.
They're having their own conversation in chat.
I was like, I got four daughters. You're gonna have to be specific. Pick one.
Pick one. So, ladies and gentlemen, from All Things Books and Publishing and Midnight Publishing, from Ciara. Thank you, Ciara, for being here, my darling. I can't wait for you to come back. She can't wait to come back. She's having more fun tonight than I think she's had
I
in
am.
a moment.
Let's
Um,
do it.
to Mary, who I cannot do. It is tough. It is tough, and it's a thankless task. There you go.
Oh yeah.
And so be sure and do self care, my darling.
Yes, ma'am.
So until next Wednesday, and you know I'm always available. You can call me, you can text me. If you just want to say, I understand. So until next Wednesday, I have a strange child. I have several strange children. I got nothing. I got nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next Wednesday, we all say good night. Have the night you deserve. Laugh. It's healing.
Yes. Laugh is the best.
It is the best. Mwah. Bye.
Bye.